creating custom Pokemon for you! Welcome back, everyone, to the show where we select lucky commenters to spin a series of random wheels that give us factors for a Pokemon that we then create just for you. We're gonna be making 3 amazing Pokemon for you today, so I hope you enjoy. And if you want a custom Pokemon for yourself, don't forget to leave a comment because I'll be randomly selecting people from this video's comments for the next episode. But without further ado, let's get into the first Pokemon. And this one will be for Luke the Luke Z. I'm glad to hear you're excited about Void. We've been making a ton of progress lately that I'm excited to show off soon. But anyways, Luke, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular. If anyone thinks these two should not be wed, speak now or forever I object. And now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you got a split evolution. The luck in this series has been absolutely crazy lately. And now we'll spin this wheel to see how many split evolutions your Pokemon will have, and it's 5 split evolutions. That is super rare. I'm telling you, something has been up. And now let's see what typing this split evolution Pokemon's going to be. Your first type is the grass type. I don't think there's any grass types that have ever had a split evolution, so that's cool. And grass flying type. Interesting. And the last step, before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and you do, a signature new mechanic. On top of a split evolution, this is going to be one super unique Pokemon. Wait until you see all the forms this thing can produce. The first stage of your Pokemon is Bearbat, the fruit sucker Pokemon. This little bat loves to live amongst the branches of forest trees where its leafy wings and built-in stem allow it to blend in seamlessly by disguising itself as a hanging berry. But that is far from the most interesting thing about this Pokemon, as it also appears to have the strange ability to absorb more than just nutrients from the berries it eats, but their elemental properties as well, giving it a split evolution that will occur when it eats a berry, with the evolution depending on the specific type of berry it consumes. After consuming an Oran berry, it'll evolve into Orabat. After eating what is likely the most common type of berry, this new form serves as a simple upgrade to all of Bearbat's stats and abilities. After consuming an Aspear berry, it'll evolve into the grass fire type Aspabat. Now, having absorbed the Aspear's ability to cure the frozen status condition, this Pokemon has been filled with a newfound fiery energy, causing it to constantly bellow out heat from the several circular holes on its surface. After consuming a Chesto berry, it'll evolve into the grass normal type Chestbat, a much more bulky Pokemon with skin as durable as the Chesto berry's hard shell. Chestbat is now capable of producing ground-shaking screams from its large mouth, courtesy of the Chesto berry's ability to wake up sleeping Pokemon. After consuming a Pekka berry, it'll evolve into the grass psychic type Pekka. The Pekka berry's ability to cure poison has been gifted to this Pokemon in the form of incredibly boosted intelligence, giving it a huge Pekka berry-shaped head which contains a brain capable of curing any toxic infection. After consuming a Rost berry, it'll evolve into Rostbat, now frozen to the core thanks to the Rost berry's ability to cure burned Pokemon. Rostbat can now produce frozen winds from the flaps of its wings that will severely slow down any foe caught inside. In terms of stats, all of the evolutions of Bearbat have different focuses, with Chestbat focusing on physical defense, Heckbat focusing on special defense, Aspabat focusing on special attack, Rostbat focusing on speed, and Orabat having a very even distribution. And for the shinies, I turned all of their skin into this dark gray color to resemble real-life bats, while keeping the color of their berries the same. But now let's get into the second Pokemon. But first, this is the Red Magic 11 Air, an incredibly fast gaming phone that you need to know about, because it's got a Snapdragon 8 Elite, one of the fastest phone chips you can get, which means you won't lag even when playing the most advanced mobile games, which is awesome because besides being a great excuse for when you lose, lag sucks. And when you combine that with a game space that lets you personalize the performance of each game, a 144 hertz full screen, physical shoulder triggers that you can map to in-game buttons, and a built-in fan to keep all this raw power from heating up your device, you get a phone that's basically a mini PC that can fit in your pocket, allowing you to play a wide variety of games at speeds and graphics settings that you never have before. Like, look at these games I'm playing. I have never seen these games look this good. And again, I'm not getting any lag even when there's a ton going on. And for a gaming phone, it's super thin, fits in the hand nicely, and has a huge 7,000 milliamp hour battery with fast charging for all-day gaming. And I tried to get this battery to go down quick. I was playing super complicated games at max settings, max brightness. The battery just would not die. I've seriously never had anything like this phone. I just feel like I'm a obliterating any game I play. The screen is great to watch YouTube on. Look, it's even got these LEDs on the back that I can change the color of, and built-in wallpapers with games on them. This phone is just so cool. Huge thank you to Red Magic for sponsoring today's episode, and if you want to check out the phone for yourself, the link is in the description. And today's second Pokemon will be for Furious Darkness. That's a good idea. Stay tuned. But anyways, Darkness, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be a Convergent evolution. Cool. So now we'll spin this wheel to see what generation of Pokemon will be making a Convergent 4, and it's Gen 1. That's classic. So now let's spin this wheel that has every single Gen 1 Pokemon on it, and we got Diglett. That actually might be a tough Pokemon to make a Convergent for, considering we've never seen the bottom half of its body. But now let's see what typing this Convergent will be. Let's hope it's not flying type. Your first type is None, so whatever this next type is, it's your only type. And it's Grass again. Well, that's actually pretty lucky because a lot of plants grow out of the ground, so I can see that working. And the last step, before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and you do an additional form. Wow. Prepare to be bamboozled. The first stage of your Pokemon is Shootlet, the bamboo shoot Pokemon. These Pokemon are known to be extremely invasive, as once Shootlet appears, it will rapidly start to multiply until the entire area is covered in these little wooden creatures. However, while these Pokemon do often come in large numbers, they're actually fairly easy to take out, as their bodies are very weak against cutting attacks, especially by Steel-type Pokemon. Meaning if your yard is ever overrun by these bamboo invaders, you're likely only one Bisharp away from clearing them out. And at level 26, it'll evolve into Shoot Trio. This evolution is said to only occur when a group of Shootlet develop a close bond together. And while the Pokemon initially appears to be a collection of 3 creatures, it's actually much more. Which is evident by the fact that if you cut down any of its 3 heads, its spot will be immediately filled by another Shootlet sprouting out of the ground and taking its place. That's right, while at first glance this Pokemon looks like a trio, it's actually part of a huge hidden army that waits beneath the surface. And this is reflected in its signature ability, Sudden Shoot, which states that when Shoot Trio reaches 25% HP or less, it will enter its forest form. In a last-ditch effort to win the battle, Shoot Trio will emerge with all of its hidden Shootlets, resulting in incredibly increased defenses, which will make it extremely difficult to finish off. In terms of stats, regular Shoot Trio is actually pretty offensive because it has really good physical attack and decent speed. And while its defenses are bad, that is not the case in its forest form, which has incredible defenses. And for the shiny, I went with this brown color as a reference to the original Dugtrio. But now let's get into the third Pokemon. But before we get into the final Pokemon, it's time for the member modifier. This is the segment of the show where we take a fan favorite Pokemon from a previous episode in the series and give it a brand new upgrade. In the last episode, we made a very interesting alchemy-inspired Pokemon named Mewtwo, which comes in a Mercury, Sulfur, and Salt form who can combine together to create giant monsters based on which 2 versions of Mewtwo combine together. And because you all love this Pokemon, I had my members vote between 2 very interesting upgrades to give it. And they were to either create a new form of Mewtwo, which would enter the pool and therefore create 3 new possible combinations, or make an ultra-powerful final form that would only occur if you combine all 3 Mewtwo. And the winner was the final form. So when you combine all forms of Mewtwo together, you'll get their Philosopher's Stone form. A Dark Cthulhu-inspired amalgamation of swirling elements, this creature is able to turn anything it touches into any material it wants, as it's even able to turn a Tyranitar into a pile of copper in a matter of seconds. Huge thank you to all my channel members, and for the shiny, I went with this dark green color to make it look more like an alien. And today's third Pokemon will be for Night Owl. Thanks so much, and I hope we make a banger Pokemon for you as well. So alright, Night Owl, let's start by getting the power level of your Pokemon, and you are going to be regular. Nothing wrong with that. I'm so glad you chose me. And now let's see how many times your Pokemon can evolve, and you are going to get 1, which makes you a classic 2-stage evolution line. And now let's see what typing your Pokemon will be. Hopefully not the grass type. Fighting type. Okay, that's cool. That's actually a pretty rare type in our region. And fighting steel type is pretty sick typing. And the last step before we see which Pokemon looks like, let's see if it has an X Factor, and you do a signature move. All 3 Pokemon had X Factors today. That is awesome. Let's knuckle up. The first stage of your Pokemon is Walloop, the Recoil Ram Pokemon. This baby Ram Pokemon is outfitted with solid metal horns in the shape of balled up fists, so you already know what type of fighter it is. That's right, Walloop are known to run full speed into foes, ducking their head last minute and crashing into the enemy with zero regard for their own safety. And while this does result in quick battles, that doesn't necessarily mean it's got a winning record, as most of the time their charging attacks are so powerful, they produce enough impact to knock out the target and itself. And upon reaching level 28, it'll evolve into Knockout. If you thought evolution would make this Pokemon fight in a more intelligent or safe way, then you are completely wrong. As Knockout is even more reckless with its charging attacks than before, and has much larger brass-knuckled inspired horns to boot. And it's this Pokemon's heavy hands that are reflected in its signature move, Ditz Blitz, which deals a massive 200 Steel-type damage, while also dealing 1/3 recoil to the user, basically making it an upgraded Double Edge. However, it also has the additional effect where any surviving Pokemon after the attack is used will become confused, including Knockout. As even if you survive this ginormous blow, you'll at least be seeing stars for a while after. In terms of stats, Knockout is dangerously fast with really good physical attack. However, its defenses are really bad. And for the shiny, I swapped its red and blue around and made its golden horn silver. If you like today's episode, make sure to check out all the other episodes of the custom Pokemon series, which can be found in this playlist. And as always, huge thank you to all the artists that worked on today's episode. They can all be found in the description, so make sure to go check them out. And I'm gonna get right back to making some awesome custom Pokemon for you, so I'll see you in the next episode. But until then, peace.